This episode contains material that may be triggering to some individuals. Please check the show notes for more information and be mindful of your own mental health and comfort levels. Hey podcasters, are you tired of endlessly searching for the perfect guest for your show? Well, look no further. Podmatch is the ultimate platform for connecting podcast hosts with guests. Whether you're a seasoned podcaster looking for fresh voices or an expert wanting to share your knowledge, Podmatch has got you covered. It's kind of like a dating site for podcasts. With Podmatch's advanced algorithm, finding your perfect match is just a few clicks away. Simply create your profile, specify your interests, and let Podmatch do the rest. You'll be matched with guests or hosts who align with your interests in no time. To get started today, visit www.joinpodmatch.com/Quiet Connection Podcast and start making meaningful connections that will take your podcast to the next level. Welcome to Quiet Connection, a podcast dedicated to ending the stigma surrounding perinatal mental health. I'm Chelsea. Today I'm connecting with Cat, a woman whose life story reads like a masterclass in resilience and reinvention. From an unconventional childhood in Japan to serving in the Air Force and building a successful business, Cat has never been a stranger to rolling with the punches. But in 2024, life threw a curveball that no amount of research could prepare her for. A miracle pregnancy followed by a silent miscarriage that shattered her world. Cat's story is a raw, honest look at the quiet parts of loss that we usually keep to ourselves, and I'm so honored she's here to speak them out loud today. Here's Cat. Today, I am here with Cat. Cat, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh my
I'm really
gosh.
excited.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for, I say this a lot lately, but thank you for rolling with the punches, with life just
Absolutely.
lifing. Oh my
Yes,
gosh. Oh,
absolutely. It comes. It just
oh
comes.
my, it does. And it doesn't stop ever.
No, it does not.
No, I am really excited to have you here. I'm excited to chat with you. And what I like to do is I like to give my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves because it's really boring when I go down the list and just read what I've learned about you. So
Understandable.
I'd love to know, who is Kat today and how did we get here?
Okay, so I was born and raised in Japan. I moved to the United States. My dad's American, by the way. He was Texan. He's no longer with us. But at 26 years old, I had to move to the United States. And mind you, it took me a long time to get comfortable to tell people this, but I was living in Japan the last, I don't know how many years. I want to say since I was 18, illegally, and I had
Mm,
no idea. I had no idea. I knew about it the last 2 years I lived there, and it was this whole family drama that was going on at the time. So my dad just kind of dropped completely me and my brother's visa situation, and so we were illegally there. Anyway, so with that said, we were forced to leave Japan, even though that was our home, which in all honesty, I'm really happy about today. So from there, I joined the military because, even though my name is completely American, everybody looked at my resume and said, oh, this is very Japanese, because everything I did was like, it was all in English, but everything was Japanese, Japanese restaurants, Japanese this, Japanese that. So they're like, yeah, like, I think I kind of got segregated. Like, they don't, yeah. Anyway, so an entire year, I could not find a job but waitressing, and I got tired of that. So I honestly joined the military, the Air Force, out of desperation. From there, I was in the military for 6 years, and I moved to New Mexico after. And in New Mexico, my husband's biological dad and stepmother lived here, and they were the most inspirational people I have ever met, and had unknowingly put me in a position where I gained more confidence, so to speak, and opened a business. So I got my license as a massage therapist, and I had a successful business. practice, my own practice for 9 years. And at the end of the 9 years, my entire life just kind of exploded into pieces. And and that started out with a financial crisis, which dumped me into getting pregnant for the first time. And mind you, I've been married to my husband for uh, thir 12 years no, 11 years at the time when we got pregnant in 2024. And I had been off the pill the entire time we were married. And this was like the first time I got pregnant. So it was practically a miracle because we didn't think it was going to happen.
Mhm.
Um, just to put it out there though, we didn't mind getting pregnant or not. It was more, we'll let life happen, because we didn't want that kind of a stress to be on us. So when we were pregnant, we're like, oh, well, what do you know? Let's go with it. We were in love with the idea of having a kid. And 1 month later, excuse me,
It's
1 month
okay.
later, it's the allergies is getting to me. I found out that I miscarried 1 month later. And that was the biggest, every time I talk about it, I get a little emotional, but um it was the hardest thing. I've always heard about miscarriages, but what does that like feel like, And I always thought I knew what it meant. But whatever the case is, that kind of shattered my entire life. But when I was able to get it back together, I found myself in the best place. There was a lot going on there, but that kind of sums up like my entire life right there. That's kind of me. I was a massage therapist and did all this stuff, and now I'm on the path because of all this, on the path of becoming a life coach
Hmm.
and an
Yeah.
author. I've already written 3 books about my miscarriage.
Yeah. Yeah, you have. And yeah, you have. And
Did
that
that
was
kind of give you a good idea of who
I
I?
mean, I was just gonna say, like, that was the most nutshelled version of some incredibly, like, challenging and big things. Yeah, wow.
Yes, yes. There was a lot
Yeah, I
happening.
mean, we're gonna dive into it. We're gonna dive into it.
Absolutely. Any
Um,
questions you have for me? Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, so like you said, you it was a very interesting transition into adulthood, going
It was.
from going from living in Japan literally your entire life to coming to the US and having to, like, start over again and joining the military, which is a huge transition in and of itself.
Was.
Um,
Best decision ever, though.
and then how did you meet your husband? Was it in the military?
Yes. He's my second husband. My first
Okay.
husband, we were married for 2 years and 9 months, and I was like, "If this is marriage," he was very jealous and controlling, and I was like, "If this is marriage, I don't fucking want it." So I was like, "You know
No.
what? Fuck the world, fuck everybody else, I'm gonna put me on the pedestal." So I divorced him, and for 1 month, I just had the most fun in my life. Whatever it was I wanted to do, I went and fucking did it. And then here comes my husband. Like, through a mutual acquaintance that neither of us liked.
Of course.
What was happening was she was like, "I know this guy, you need to meet him. His name is Josh." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't need to meet anybody from you. Like, I literally don't." And she was like, "No, you gotta meet him." And for 3 days straight, she kept bothering me about this guy. I was like, "If I see this guy, will you just stop pestering me? Like, will you go away?" And she was like, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay." So I called my future husband, what I did not know, and we met. At first he was like, "Why don't you come to my house? We'll have a beer." I was like, no, no, we're not going to your house. We're going to the bar that I'm gonna be with my friends at and all this stuff." But we clicked so well right off the bat. And I think the best thing that we both did, because we were both in a place where we're like, we're not going to go through that shit again. Because this is also his second marriage. I told him, I was like, if you want a relationship, there's the door. And he was like, oh, like right off the bat, that's what I said. And he was like, oh, well, if you like to play bitchy mind games, there's the door. I was like, I don't even fucking like you yet. Like, why would I? You know what I mean? Why would I play mind games? So
This is a really interesting first date. Like, what
it
the hell's
was.
happening right now?
We were both like, okay, so we're just gonna be here and just chill, you know? And but from that point on, we had been together, basically friends with benefits, right? And then one day he was like, so what are we doing? Because we're hanging out every day, every day. And I was like, are you asking if we're dating or not? He was like, I guess that's my question. I was like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still single.
Oh, man.
I know. And then one of my friends one day was like, you need to pull your head out of your ass and see what's actually happening here because you guys are no longer single. And I was like, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand. Like, I'm still single, whatever. You know, I was like so gung ho about staying single. But because of that conversation with this friend of mine, I was like, am I ready for a relationship? I had this whole conversation in my head. We're at a bar and it was karaoke night. I'm a huge karaoke girl back then.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I did contests and everything. I won money doing it.
Girl,
I
I
know.
love
It
that.
was so much fun. And anyway, so while somebody else was singing, you know, it's hard to talk when somebody else is singing because they're all loud. And I'm sitting there having this whole conversation with my husband without my husband about whether or not I was ready for a relationship or not. And ultimately, the last question I asked myself was, well, if I'm single, that means he's single. If some other girls comes walking around and they like each other, that means it's okay for him to go, right? Will I be okay with that? And I was like, you know what? I am not okay with that. Like I'm having way too much fun with this guy. And if he goes, that means all the fun goes, you know, because he was the first guy, like I wanted to do all kinds of stuff, like camping. Cause back in Japan, I lived on concrete world. I had friends who did outsidey stuff, but it's not like camping or anything. You know, we spent a lot of time outside, but it was like a city life outside.
Mhm.
So moving to Montana, oh, we were in Montana, that's where we were stationed at. I was like, I want to go camping. I want to go fishing. I want to do all this stuff. My ex husband wanted to just cuddle on the couch. So when I met this guy, he took me everywhere. We went camping. We had dogs. We had a boat. We did all these things, and I had so much fun. Waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning was not what I found fun in the past. But because he was doing all this stuff with, I was like, I want more. So when I had this question in my head, I was like, no, I want this to be a thing. So I looked at my husband, I was like, "I think I'm ready." And he was like, "Ready to go home or another beer?" I was like, "Oh my god, I had the whole conversation without you in my head."
Oops, I forgot you
I
were
know,
here. Oops.
exactly, and I told him, I was like, "No, I'm ready to date." And he was like, oh, okay." And that's how that started happening. That's how we met.
Well, so, like, it makes perfect sense with what you're saying in terms of, like, that you weren't on birth control or anything like that. Like, it just seems like you guys were just experiencing life and letting life
We were
come at you, right?
exactly,
Yeah, and
exactly. We're
embracing
just
it
letting
and
yes,
yeah, so that
yeah.
makes perfect sense. Very, very on brand,
Yeah,
as
it's
far as I'm
definitely
concerned.
very us. Yes.
Yeah. I love that so much. That's like that's one of those stories like, you have, like, the fairy tale stories and stuff.
Yes.
This is, like, the kind of story that I like
Realistic,
to
right?
r
Yeah.
hear, the type of story I like to hear, like, we were best
Uh-huh.
friends before everything
Yeah.
else, right? Like,
Yeah.
he's just so
Exactly.
much fun. Oh, I love that. Um,
Thank you.
so you kind of maybe alluded to it earlier. You were open to the idea of having kids. Was it something prior to that in your life that you'd ever was it something that's like, "This is on my to-do list," or was it like, "If it happens, it happens"?
You know, when I was 25, because I thought about this before, 24, 25 years old, I was dating a guy that I thought I was gonna get married to. And, we were together for 4 years, and in the I wanna say year 2 or 3, I had started having feelings that I wanted kids, but I knew it wasn't the right time, but I was telling I was like, "I wanna figure something out," but it never that thought never got went anywhere. Just in case we had kids, that was my thought. Just in case we had kids, even though I was on birth control, I, uh I was a very heavy smoker, by the way, back then, and, like, on regular days, I would have an entire pack, and when I
Mhm.
went out, I'll have another entire pack that evening. That's how heavy my smoking was, and, I did not want to be the reason my kids started smoking. And the
Mm.
reason I had that thought was because I was separated from my biological mother. My dad kept us. It was that's a whole different story. So
Yeah.
like it was technically an international kidnapping by my father. Yeah,
God.
like yeah, he just kept us instead of returning us who's the rightful what is that called? The
Like
rightful
guardian or
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And custody. She was supposed
Yes.
to have full custody, but my dad kept me and there was nothing my mom could do about it. So anyway, with that said, I have a lot of stories just so you know.
Yeah, you do.
So with that said, like when I was living in a chaotic household of a narcissistic stepmother, I got the urge of wanting to smoke because I wanted to be closer to my mother. So
Mm.
I started smoking because of that. I wanted to be closer. And so when I was thinking about the possibility of getting pregnant, I was like, I should probably stop smoking just in case I do get pregnant. So I quit. I did not quit smoking. It was so hard to quit smoking when I was with my ex husband. And when after marrying my current husband, I was like, okay, the possibility is there again. So it was always the thought of possibility as opposed to let's have kids, you
Yeah.
know? And oh, it's so funny too, because when we got engaged, I was like, I don't think we had the most important conversation yet. He was like, what's that? I was like, kids, do you want them? He was like, yeah, whatever you want to do. If you want kids, we can have kids. I was like, I'll just let life happen, I guess. I don't like I was having so much fun. I didn't want to like get into family making yet. So I was like, let's just let life happen. So I got off the pills for that reason. We never tried to have babies. If that makes sense. Like it wasn't that reason for anything. But I did quit smoking just in case, which I was able to do with my current husband because I was happy enough that I didn't need that to have something that was mine, because I
Yeah.
think that was why I couldn't quit smoking before with my ex. So with that, does that answer your question? Like, it wasn't
Yes.
necessarily ever a conversation. It was more like, well, if we do, we'll just be ready for it just in case. It just never happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And there you found out later that there was a reason that it was so difficult that it just wasn't happening.
Yes, that was very recent.
Yeah.
Very recent.
Talk to me about that and then we'll go back in time.
Absolutely. So I didn't know this until as a matter of fact, it was my first appointment with my acupuncturist. He is like a Chinese guy that's lived in the United States for over 30 years and like he was in the medical field, but he doesn't like the medical field how it works. So he decided to open his own acupuncture practice, and he's very successful at it. Great guy. Anyway, my point is, it's easy to trust him because of his
Yeah.
background, right? So, with that said, he asked me why I was there, and I'm like, well, I got referrals from the VA because I was going through a miscarriage and my hormones are just like so out of whack. I need them to settle down. And but by that time I had gone to radiology to do an ultrasound for my uterus to see if there was anything wrong there because we still couldn't figure out why I had a miscarriage. And until then, I thought it was because of the Wendy's I ate. We always have to
Reading
put
that.
blame somewhere,
Yes.
right? Like, and
Yes.
I knew I was putting blame on there. I just didn't have anything else to like put the blame on, so I just kept it that way. And so anyway, I scanned the results into Dingus. Oh, uh, Dingus is what I call my chat GPT. And Dingus was telling me like little things about this inflammation that's happening in my uterus called adenomyosis.
Mhm.
And I was like, what the fuck is adenomyosis? Like, I've never heard of that. Like, endometriosis, like
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that I've heard of, and adenomyosis. I was like, I had no idea what it was. So basically, what it is the uterus itself, the lining of the uterus wall has kind of grown together with the muscle behind the wall. So then, when your uterus is shedding its lining, then the muscle of the wall muscle is also kind of shedding. It doesn't know what is what anymore. Like it's part of the uterus. And therefore inflammation is happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there are patches of these inflammations on the walls. And but I didn't know what it meant. Dingus was telling me what the results were saying, but it didn't really tell me exactly what it meant. So when I was talking to my acupuncturist for the first time, he was asking me again why I was there, and I told him what I recently found out. I literally got the letter from the VA about the results the day before. So I showed him Dingus, and he was like, "Oh, your affected areas are a little thicker than most. Like a lot of people have this. They don't know about it because it's never been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But yours is a little thicker. That's why you've never gotten pregnant. And somehow you did get pregnant, which was a miracle. But that's why it couldn't stay in your uterus because the inflammation areas were taking up the space and it had no room for a growing baby or embryo. So that's how I lost it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and now we go back in time. Um
Yeah.
because I mean that is the why it wasn't the Wendy's.
Yes,
Which
exactly.
when I read that, I was like, I totally relate to needing an answer, right? Like I need
Yes.
an answer for something. But let's go back. Like you said, when you found out, it wasn't like a oh shit moment. It was like a okay, all right,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
happening. Um
Yeah.
and it was a fairly quick turnaround for well, walk me through that. Walk me through what that was like for you and your husband when you found out you were pregnant.
I was so in disbelief because obviously I hadn't been pregnant in so long, you know? I was like, why am I getting pregnant now? I'm 42 years old, you know? Like, come on. It was so funny. The first day I took the next day I after feeling like I was pregnant, I had my husband run to the store to get the pregnancy tests.
Mhm.
I'm like, it might be a little too early, but we'll figure it out. And it came out positive, and I was like, there's no fucking way. I'm like staring at this stick in my bed because I was waiting for it to like turn. And my husband walks into the room. He was like, so yeah, you're pregnant? I'm like, I guess so. We both were like really nonchalant about it because we were both in disbelief. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call the VA and see if they can do like a test and see what happens. And I was able to get a test immediately the very next day, but it was too early for that one because my urine wasn't showing anything, so it came back negative. And I was like, I don't believe that either. Even though I was in disbelief, I was also like, no, because I'm feeling like it's there.
Yeah.
Like that female intuition, so to speak. And so I told my husband, I was like, I need you to go get like every brand
Yeah.
of pregnancy. So he brought home two more aside from what I already had, and I took all of them the next day, and they
Yeah.
all said pregnant.
It's
So I
like the
got
lines, the words, like you had to have
yes,
every version.
exactly. I was
Yeah.
like, if all brands say yes, there's no fucking way it's a no.
Yeah.
Like so I messaged my doctor and she was like, well, it came back negative. And I was like, well, explain this then. And I told her about all of them. She was like, huh, yeah, let's go get a blood test. I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
let's
I was
do
gonna
that.
say, I was like, why didn't they just do the blood
I
test?
know that would have been so much faster, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like they always go the cheaper route first. That's just how the
I mean,
VA
I guess that
works.
makes sense with the healthcare
Yeah.
system.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I got the blood test. It did come back positive, and we're like, wow, it's happening. It's fucking happening. Like, what are we gonna do with ourselves? And I was like, I don't know about my husband, but I was like, holy shit. Like, I wasn't necessarily freaking out, but I'm like, something that I didn't think was ever gonna happen is happening. Like, what is happening to me, you know?
Yeah.
So, uh, what happened? One, it took me about 24 hours for it to set in. I'm like, and I'm still going to work, by the way. So I'm like massaging people, and I like to I'm a talker. Like, if they need to be quiet, I can tell and I'll be quiet and do what I need to do. But some of my clients are such talkers, so then I'll be a talker with them, and I'll be telling them exactly what's going on and what my thought process is. And every client is like, "So what are you gonna do?" I was like, "What do you mean, what am I gonna do? Like, it's happening." And they were like, "Yeah, but I mean, it's exciting. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna, like, plan things?" I was like, "I have no fucking clue." And I was like, do I have
Never
to
been
think
here
about"
before,
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly. I was like, "Do I dress a room up for the baby? Like, is that too early? Do I need to think about baby names? Is that too early?" Like, I didn't know what to do. But I was like, "You know what? I think I'm gonna like, find ways to tell my immediate family members only about my baby." And I'm a very creative person. I never like to do things just, "Oh, I'm pregnant." You know what I mean? I don't want it to be boring. So I got a bottle of wine for my husband's dad and stepmom, and I have these labels that you could create on your own through a system called Avery. I don't know if you know what that
yeah.
is.
Yep.
So I made this label, and it's got a baby carriage on it, and on top of that it says "Guess what?" And in tinier letters it says you're going to be grandparents.
Aw.
And but it looks like an actual label, like, you know what I mean? But I just put it over the regular label. Anyway, so I took that, and then I went on Amazon. It was my mother's birthday, and I didn't send her anything yet, and I was like, "God, I'm a horrible daughter, but this is gonna be the greatest birthday ever for her." So I was like, "I'm gonna find something that I could send, like, right now," and I found this little egg on Amazon that you can, like, crack open, and inside, it'll have this little, scrolled up paper, a tiny, tiny, long scrolled up paper that says, "A little birdie told me a baby is on the way."
Oh, that's so cute.
Isn't that
Oh my
adorable?
god,
I
yes.
know, like, a full-on egg, you have to crack it open to get that.
Yeah.
So I had my mom FaceTime me while she did this. Yeah, so anyway, that's how I told my immediate family members what was going on. And obviously there's excitement with the family members. Yeah, that's kind of how it went, but I think the excitement also kept me from being what's the word? Logical, so to speak. You know what I mean? Cuz I just found out. But and I'm a huge researcher, so I researched everything about pregnancies, and I even, like, downloaded this app that tells you how big the baby is and blah, 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 right? And then
Yeah.
once I had nothing more to research about pregnancy and births and all of that, I had to put my brain somewhere because it was always running, and I started thinking about baby names. So I had a baby name before like, I even found out I miscarried. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's kind of how that went.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you were all in. You were all
Yes,
in.
I was definitely all in, and I think my husband was more excited for me than with me, if that makes sense. I think he was indifferent because he wasn't the one going through it, you know what I mean? But he
Mhm.
knew something was happening, and I think, it took him a little longer to get excited about it, which he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I again,
Uh,
it's this the vibe is vibing. Just this
yes, exactly.
you are an all in kind of person,
I am.
and yeah. And when you're talking, you're like, when I massage, I'm a talker. I'm like, girl, if you and I were if you and I were in the same room, we would drive some people crazy. But yeah, I have to actively tell myself, like, Chelsea, shut up, or you're not gonna actually, like, you need to just be quiet.
Same here.
Oh my
Yes.
god, please. Like, actually
That was so
relax
much
through
fun.
this, please. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so you were excited, your husband was on
Yes.
board, your family was on
Yes.
board, everything was happening,
Absolutely.
everything was happening. When when did things shift? And I know, like, when you mentioned it, when we were speaking, like, you called it a missed miscarriage. So explain that to me a little bit.
So okay. Um, the way I found out, first of all, it was my first ultrasound. And I walked into this ultrasound. I was so excited about it. And um mind you, again, I'm going through a financial crisis while this is
Yeah.
happening. Like we got notes at on the door about like uh, getting threatened for foreclosure once at this point. Um, and well, something will always happen to where we could pay it and then that'll go away. But anyway, with that said, we're at the ultrasound and the technician was doing her thing and we were able to see the baby and she was like, how long far along are you? I was like, I should be about 10 weeks. And she was like, well, looks like it's 8 weeks. And I'm like, huh. Like, for a moment, I was like, I had like my brain never went to miscarriage. It was
Mhm.
always the entire time. It was always okay. So there's something else I'm missing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I was like, I wonder if I found out earlier, but that doesn't make sense because most people find out at week 5, which is where I was at the earliest. So I was like, what else could it be? And I'm like, my brain is racking other things up while I'm watching the ultrasound happen. And finally, she was like, well, I need to get in a little closer. So she had to grab a wand to go inside me.
Mhm.
And, but nothing was happening. And so she was like, I can't remember what happened exactly. I think there was more going on inside my head than there was actually happening, and that's why the actual happenings, I'm not sure how it happened, but I just remember her saying, "I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "What? What is happening right now?" I'm like, "Why is she apologizing?" Because
Yeah.
I knew that something not good was happening, but I didn't immediately connect it to a miscarriage.
Mhm.
I'm like, what? Because I still have it in me. Why is it a miscarriage? You know?
Yeah.
And but she kept saying I'm sorry. And so it's like I was a little frustrated at the end because I felt like she was telling me how to feel by apologizing to me, as
Mhm.
opposed to sitting me down and explaining what's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So well, yeah, because I had no idea what was happening at all. I was just like, I'm sorry, what? Like, what's happening exactly?
Right. Right.
And it dawned on me after she said, "I'm sorry" for the 3rd time. I'm like, "Oh, shit, I lost it." And I'm like, "But it's still there. I don't understand," you know? And so I had this whole, like, emotional roller coaster happen between there and the truck to the point where I couldn't even talk. I didn't even cry until we were on the 2nd floor, so we went into the elevator, and my husband I love my husband. He knew exactly what he needed to do. He gave me the biggest hug and held me, and I just like everything fell out of my eyeballs. Like it was like really bad. But that was like the first time I was able to let my emotions out at all.
Mhm.
That evening, again, I'm doing all my research, and I've started seeing the word missed miscarriage or silent miscarriage pop up. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And I think I was talking to Dingus at this point. I was like, what is a miscarriage? And it's basically a miscarriage where the body still holds on to the baby because either it doesn't recognize that it's passed or something, whatever. The point is the baby didn't flush out, and that's why I didn't know I miscarried. I did oh, that's right. The technician was asking me if I felt a sharp pain in my lower abdomen at some point, and I did. And it was the day I ate Wendy's.
And that's why you thought that it was the
Yes.
Wednesdays.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. And so I think that conversation was what made me realize what she meant by I'm sorry. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I go home and I'm like researching all this stuff, but the moment I got home though, before I was even able to research, because I'm still letting this sit. You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
understand it emotionally, so to speak. And Like, because logically, I got everything, but here I'm like everywhere. And I get home, my brother was living with me at the time, and he already knew what happened, but at the kitchen island, he was cooking, and he like had this huge envelope. He was like sliding it towards me. He was like, "I am so sorry." And I'm like, "Why?" And I looked at it, and he was like, "Yep, somebody came in and says you got served." And I'm like, "Excuse
Oh
me?"
my god.
And he was like, "I don't know what it is. I didn't open it. It's yours." I'm like, "Okay." So I opened it. It was from one of the credit card companies I couldn't we had been having a hard time paying. Mind you, my husband he lost his job because of COVID, and from there, our financial stability had gone downhill, and that was our most rock bottom time. And at the same time, I found out I was a miscarriage, and
Yeah.
so my entire honestly though, because the miscarriage thing happened first, I was like, I've already gone through my emotional roller coaster, so when he told me that, I was like, "This is kind of funny."
Yeah. Well,
You know
right, like,
what I
you
mean?
can't take on one more thing. At that point, you're like, what the hell? What's
Yeah,
next?" Right?
exactly. So I kinda laughed. I was like, "Well, that kinda, like, goes along with everything that's been happening today," you know? Like, it was, dark humor, right? Like,
Well, I'm very
yeah,
familiar.
I
That
yeah.
that is my love language. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, so I was like, "Well, this is fine." So we're like, "You know what? We've already contacted a bankruptcy or a lawyer, so we'll talk to him about that later." And so at least we had a solution for that, and, that's when I sat down and I just couldn't take it anymore and started doing my research about the miscarriage, found out it was a miscarriage, and I was like, one of the things that I really started thinking about was, how the fuck did I ever not hear about this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's been so many other taboo conversations that we know of, but through the miscarriage, I'm finding more taboo subjects that I've never heard about because they are taboo. And that's kind of one of the reasons I got into life coaching, because I was like, I'm gonna make taboo subjects not taboo. Like, this is getting fucking ridiculous. We should know about this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Anyway, one of the things that I learned while I was doing the research for miscarriages is, because all of this stuff happened from from a long time ago, right? But whatever the case is, for the old ages where people started having some sort of technology to help us medically, right?
Mhm.
One of the first people that were able to get into the medical field were barbers. Did you know that? They're called barber surgeons.
Yes.
They are the ones that do C-sections, or
Mhm.
if the miscarriage is not happening, they'll cut it out, whatever. Oh, that is like, I didn't even know about that. That I was like, "That is so terrifying." I'm so happy I am not back we're not living back then.
Think the only reason I know that is because I'm into really weird and obscure history. So, like, yeah,
Yeah,
I knew that, like,
yeah,
barbers were the first surgeons and, like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that's crazy, right?
I
Um,
know, I know. I've been
yeah,
getting into history a lot more since then because
yeah.
that just fascinated me. Yeah, anyway.
Um, I mean, off topic, a podcast you should listen to if you're really into that stuff
Yes.
is, Lore by Aaron Mahnke. Lore he also has,
Okay.
like, Cabinet of Curiosities, but it's all, like, really obscure history and, like, legends and stuff like that, but
Yeah. I
I
actually
think
listened to something like that. I'm gonna have to write that down, but, I listened to, Bailey Sarian with Dark History. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one. I love the way she talks because she talks like she's gossiping, and it's just so much fun. Yeah, I
okay, well,
know.
that's the reason that I know about that.
Yes.
Um,
Perfect.
but no, but you're right, though, like, it is a taboo subject,
Yes.
and the whole point of, like, this space, right, is smashing stigma and talking about the things, and I think one of the things that you said too really hits home for me because something I believe so fully is that we need to understand our bodies, We need to understand
Absolutely.
what they're capable of. We need to understand what their the complications that can happen in terms of our physiology, just in general. And
Exactly.
so to go from like, it makes so much sense for you to sit in that to hear about you sitting in that office and hearing, "I'm sorry," and you're like, "No, I see my baby. I see my baby. My baby's right there. I didn't lose anything. And I know
Exactly.
why are you sorry? It's right there." Right?
Exactly.
And that
Yeah.
is not talked about enough. We've talked about miscarriage, we've talked about loss, in the process, and I wanna dive a little bit deeper into it, but you are the first one who has kind of said the quiet part out loud of like, "I'm confused." Right? Like, "Why are you sorry? I see the
Yeah.
baby right there."
It
The
pissed
whole
me off. Yeah.
Yes.
'Cause at
Yeah.
the end, I realized what was happening, and I was like, "Are you trying to tell me I need to be like, explain something to me instead of telling me how I'm supposed to feel?" You know? It must be
Exactly.
frustrating. It's like, I wasn't frustrated until it dawned on me, you know? It's like, "Explain it, explain it."
Yes.
Like,
Tell
she
me
coulda
what
told
happened.
yeah, she coulda told me about the miscarriage. The reason the baby is still in you is because,
Right.
like yeah, anyway, it was
Yeah.
very frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is such a valid response, and it's one again, like you said, taboo. Frustration is a taboo way like, we don't hear that so much. You can hear, like, "I was devastated, I was crushed," and those are all valid things as well. But being mad and
Exactly.
confused, those are
Yeah.
just as common when you're
'Cause
like, "What the hell is" Yeah, "What the hell is
devastation is
happening?"
normal. Like, that's what you feel when you had a loss, but the frustration came first, before I was devastated. Oh, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, tell me more, educate me, like, you
Please,
know?
yes.
Yeah,
So what
so
what were next steps from there? Because obviously baby was still there.
yes. Um, so I did have an emergency, appointment with my, uh, what are they called again? My OBGYN.
Yes.
But I did choose to see a midwife as opposed to a doctor. I wasn't opposed to having a doctor, deliver me, but I wanted a midwife in between. So I had a midwife that I was talking to, and she was wonderful. However, she was oh my god, the medical system where the just to get to that emergency appointment, the frustrations of talking to the people in the medical field was atrocious. Like, I was getting so mad, and, if anybody knows me, I don't get mad very easily, but I was going through something, and these MFers were just do you know what I mean?
Giving you the
So, anyway,
runaround.
oh my god. It
Yeah.
took me forever to finally get an appointment with somebody. Anyway, so my midwife, she's like, "Well, you have 3 options." Honestly, already knew what the options were because I did so much deep research, and I wanted to know exactly what was gonna happen in case the doctor didn't tell me about it and it's something I wanted, you know what I mean? So I
Mhm.
can, like, at least mention and see what the doc says. But she told me everything that I found out on my own, but I let her explain them to me. And she was like, "You don't have to answer me now." And I was like, "No, I already know because I've already done all my research." She's like, "Oh, cool." So the 3 options were either I did a DNC, which in this podcast, I'm sure everybody knows what that means. So I'm not going to get into that. The other one was to naturally let it pass.
Mhm.
And the 3rd one, which is the one that I chose, was taking the pills to it's like basically an abortion
Mhm.
pill, to flush it all out. And being that I was a massage therapist and I was still practicing, I was like, letting it naturally flush would be my my preference, but I don't think I could do that to my clients because I can't be like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, it's happening. I need to go to the bathroom," like
Yeah.
let's not do that. So I was like, I should probably take the pill. And I wanted the pill as opposed to the DNC because I've heard a lot of horror stories about DNCs where, like, you're in a hospital, so you're rushed everywhere. I wanted to take my time. No matter what it was, I wanted to take my time. And I wanted to say a proper goodbye to the thing that was supposed to be my baby, whatever it was gonna look like, you know? So
Yeah.
I decided to do that, and, um, uh, I did it that weekend so that I had time, and it was the most interesting, but like, I say the word interesting because it's something I have never experienced before, but it was the most excruciatingly painful thing I have ever gone through as well. And earlier I was saying that, um, I thought I could, being a woman, because people are like, "Oh, it feels like, the worst cramps you've ever, like, felt," and I was like, "I know what bad cramps feel like,
Yeah.
I've been through that, I can imagine." It was nothing like that at all. It was, like, times 10, times 100, I can't even, like, put a number to it. It was the most painful thing I've ever gone through, and the way it happened was in a 2-hour time span, and it happened in the middle of the night, like starting at 11 p.m. ish, and it fully stopped around 2 a.m. Like 11 p.m., I was like, I'm feeling something, but by midnight, I was like, okay, something is definitely happening, but it wasn't bad. But by 2 a.m., it was so bad, I like literally threw up.
Mm.
And but by the time I threw up, it happened, and that was the most painful part. And then the pain just stopped. It was um, like I could still feel, but because of how painful it was, I felt numb for a moment, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like it
Yeah.
was very numb. But during those 2 hours, though, I was trying to keep it quiet because everybody's sleeping, but at some point, it was just so hard to keep it quiet. My dog was so concerned. She actually woke my husband up
It's like,
before I
"Mom
woke him
needs
up.
you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The poor thing was so confused. And so anyway, I noticed, because I'm very aware of my body and my emotions and how what's happening. Um, through the practice of being a massage therapist, like I've learned a lot about myself. And while I was crying out of pain while I was going through this, I noticed that I was also crying from emotional, like, because I'm losing it, and I knew that. So there was an emotional crying where I'm like, basically grieving, but then it'll turn into a painful cry. Like, it was very different. And I asked my husband, I was like, "Were you able to tell the difference?" He was like, "There were 2 different cries. I did notice." I was like, "Cool." That's interesting. Like, I found my experience interesting, just because of it was such a different experience, like I was saying. Yeah, so, after that, though, my hormones were still not settled, right? Because I just flushed it out. My body still thought I had it, and it's still continuously thinking I'm still pregnant. So, the pregnancy hormones are still raging.
Mhm.
And so I wanna say for 2 weeks it was raging, and I had to go to the doctor every day to check where the hormone levels were at. And every day increasingly I was going into this, I didn't know what it was at first. I was like, I feel like a zombie. I feel like I'm not me anymore. I don't I feel empty. I feel like a depleted copy machine. Like, I have no ink in me. I have no energy,
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
was losing all these things. I was like, I felt like I was going crazy. I was like, who the fuck am I right now? Like, what is happening? And I'm always the kind of person that will step back and look at the situation before I react. But there was nothing I could go off of because this is all physiological. There was nothing logical about any of this. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So
Mhm.
I still found my calm, but my calm couldn't overtake the depression that was setting in slowly. And at the end, I was like, I feel like I'm gone. Like,
Yeah.
there was no more me, but my physical me, I felt soulless. That's the word I used. I felt completely soulless. My body is here, but I don't feel like I'm here. Like my feelings are gone. Like you can touch me and I can feel that, but that when you get touched, usually you have a feeling of the connection of the person that's touching you. I didn't have that. That emotional connection of the touch. There was like everything was gone except for the physiological stuff, and I was so lost. Finally, I was talking to my light. I call her my decluttering coach because she helps me declutter my emotions. Oh, and this is actually backstepping. I did one day. This one day it was so bad. And I was telling my client, I was like, I don't mean to like dump this shit on you, but I feel horrible today. Like, is this postpartum depression? I don't know. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm supposed to, what that feels like. I don't even know what this shit is. Like, is it connected? I have no idea, you know? And mind you, the client I was talking to was a guy, and he's just like,
I don't know.
I know. The poor guy. Like, he's practically my friend, so, like, anything I can say to him, he'll just be, like, there for me. So I was thankful for that, but anyway, the next day, I woke up and I was like, "Holy shit, I feel good." Like, I don't understand what's happening, and that day I got to take the blood draw, and the pregnancy hormones had dropped significantly. I was like, holy shit. Who knew the pregnancy hormones could change how you feel to this extent?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, fuck. So I wanted to like really get into that in like the research mode, right? But what I did notice was after that, I felt good. I had energy. I can do all of these things, but I still felt off. Like I had this window, and all I could think of was, I want to be out there and feel things. I'm like, I'm still missing an emotional component and I couldn't put my finger on it. I wanted adrenaline. Like I told my husband, "Oh, I need to go get a crotch rocket."
Yeah. Yeah, I thought you were gonna say tattoo, like
Oh,
something. I need to go skydiving. I
yeah,
need to get a tattoo. I need to,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I wanted the crotch rocket out, and he was like, "You live in, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Like that's a death wish because everybody's crazy here, drivers." And I was like, "You're right. That is a death wish." I was like, then what was my next one? I can't remember. Like I was throwing out all kinds of shit that had everything to do with adrenaline. And I was like, there's a pattern here. And I'm like, I just want to feel. I think that's what it is.
yeah.
I want to feel. I feel empty, you know? And I'm gonna show you my book real quick because it's got the picture of what I did at the end. That's my
You
Jeep.
you got a Jeep. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
With
well,
a
no.
giant duck.
Yeah. That
Okay.
was that giant duck is what took me out of my misery.
Okay, I thought that that was not real. When I saw the
It's
cover of your
real.
book,
Yeah,
I
that's
thought it
real.
that I
No, I bought it one day and I told my husband, I was like, "Look at the cart on Amazon." He was like, "Okay."
my
I was like,
god.
"I just bought it." And he was like, "Okay." He was like, "Where is it gonna go?" I was like, "It's gonna go to the Jeep." I can't
Yeah,
remember
because
how
there's the
I
whole
came.
thing, right? Like, you duck Jeeps.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing with Jeep
Exactly.
owners. Yeah.
And, I
Yeah,
don't
so
know,
you
I
just
can't
got the
tell
biggest
you
one you could ever find.
exactly. I can't tell you how I came across that idea, but, like, through TikTok videos and Facebook and all kinds of social media stuff, like, I came to that conclusion, and I wanted to see how big of a duck I could get and realize I could get it in the Jeep, and I was like, "You know what? This is what I'm gonna do." And that made me I drove it around the entire year, and I got all these, like, happy reactions from drivers around me. And I was like, man, this feels good. It's a temporary good, but at least I was able to feel. And I was like, I love this. So I kept it. And I talked to my later on talked to my decluttering coach, my life coach, and we had this long conversation about all these things that like my past memories, what it connected to all this stuff. And what I realized was I wasn't empty, I was numb. So it was a different kind of numb when I was going through the postpartum than what I was going through at the time. And the reason I was numb was because so my great aunt my mom's side of the family, they're a tribal family from in Taiwan. They are the Aborigines of Taiwan. They're going through the same kind of things that the American Indians went through here, except
Mhm.
only recently. They
Okay.
were considered savages, all this stuff, and about 10 years ago, they started uh, recognizing them as human beings as opposed to savages. And so, anyway, she had this. I have a tattoo here. She
Yes,
had
which
this
I
on her
love.
face. Like,
Yep.
that's the traditional place to have it, is across the cheekbones and down to the lips.
Mhm.
Um, she lived she passed away in 2019 at 113 years old. And she's always been part of, like, my business. I always had her picture up there, so I've always felt connected to her since I was a kid, even though she's my great aunt, not my grandma or whatever, you know? But whatever the case is, um, knowing that she lived for 113, like, my husband would make, jokes that I should not get too comfortable with him because I'll probably have 2 or 3 husbands after him, and 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 that's always been a joke because that was a joke with my friends too, you know what I mean? And somehow because I got pregnant, the meaning became different. According to what I found out with the talk that I had with my life coach, is that meant I'm gonna be alone, and this baby was gonna be my solution, that I'm not gonna die alone, and that became the, um, like, the meaning of having this baby, and that's why I became so numb because I couldn't handle this this pain that I had suddenly found. Yeah, so I hope that answers that question. A
Oh my
lot had
gosh.
happened, yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that I was able to connect it was amazing, in all honesty, because, like, who knew that that baby meant something? You know what I mean? Deeper than just having a baby, you know?
Yeah. Do you so just for clarity, do you believe do you believe that that baby was meant to be your forever person, or that that's what you equated it to, and
I
that's why it
equated
was
it
so
to.
and that okay. So it was your
Yeah,
belief, right.
exactly,
Yeah. Mhm.
exactly.
Um, and that thank you for clarifying that for me, just because
Absolutely.
well, it also it it changes, like, my understanding of the situation and how it affected you.
I
First of all
didn't know either, you know?
yeah,
Like, it took
right?
me to talk about it to connect it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, as it like, we both talked about how, like, humor and dark humor are coping
Yeah.
mechanisms. I was gonna say, like, if you live to 113, like, holy shit, I need,
Oh,
like,
I know.
whatever your family's doing, I need to know this. I don't know if I wanna live to 113, but,
I don't know either, honestly. I think 100's about where I think
you'll
I'll
max
be
out.
happy to
You'll max
go.
okay.
Yeah.
Um But I also there were several things that I really wanted to highlight. You've done, like, such an incredible job of walking us through your journey, and like you said, there's so many facets to it that
It was.
I mean, we would never have the time for it in a
No.
podcast like this. Like, we could do episodes and episodes and episodes, but, like, you were
Yes.
carrying so much, but some of the themes that you brought up are things that we haven't even explored extensively on this podcast. So I'm really fortunate that you have shared this journey with me because
Okay.
one, like we mentioned before, understanding your body, understanding your physiology, not even hearing about what a missed miscarriage. I had before doing this podcast, I had never
Yeah,
heard of a missed miscarriage. I knew
I
what a
know.
miscarriage was.
Exactly.
Um
Nobody talks about it.
no, and I feel like it's something like we just need to understand what our bodies do and don't do and can do
Well,
and
one of the things that I, like, through the miscarriage thought about is if our older generations, they thought keeping silent would be the way to save us. But in all honesty, talking about it would be the way to save us. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Because that gives us knowledge, but it's never
Yeah.
been passed on.
No.
None of these stories are passed on.
Well, and it doesn't mean that it will change the outcomes in terms
No,
of, like, we can't control that. Like,
exactly.
we can't control the things that happen that like a missed miscarriage or a miscarriage or child loss, like, things like that, or anything in life. Like, when you get in a car accident, things like that. Like, we may not be able to change that, but talking about it can change how we're able to cope with it, how we're able to
Absolutely.
understand it, how we're able to prepare. Um,
And if it was talked about with our family members, we also know who to go to talk about it,
yes.
you
Yes.
know? And it
Yes.
was talked about before, you kinda know not only who to go to, but also, "Oh, this is a known thing." So you're not gonna sit there and be like, "Oh my god, what the fuck is happening?" Like, "What
Yeah,
is happening?" You know? But if you heard about it, it's like, "Oh, okay, this is something I've heard about, it's not unusual." You know?
exactly.
Because you think you're going crazy when you're going through these things that you've never heard about.
Well, and
So
to take it further too, there isn't a obviously in the state of the world right now, in our country especially, talking about abortion,
yeah,
and what an abortion
is a
is,
huge
or
thing.
it's so taboo, and understanding that reproductive health isn't all just like la-di-da. It isn't even a little bit la-di-da. It's very much about, like, you had a miscarriage and you needed a procedure so that your
Exactly.
body could take care of it. Otherwise, there are other medical risks. You can go into sepsis, you
Absolutely.
can go into, like,
Yes.
all of these other things.
Yes.
But for you, so you did the research on your own and you looked up your options, but even then, you didn't know what the pill was gonna do. You didn't know what the experience was going to be like. And you're not the first person to tell me that. I have heard in the past, like, I thought I was just gonna take the pill and that it was just gonna, like, pass and
Well,
then I was
because
gonna move on, and
the one thing I forgot to mention, because when the doctor or the midwife gave it to me, she was so nonchalant about it. She was like, "Okay, so you all you have to do is put those pills up your vagina and let it, like, do its thing. It'll just takes, like, if you do it just before you go to sleep, it'll probably happen when you wake up in the morning, and if it's just too much pain, just pop in a couple of ibuprofens, you'll be fine."
oh,
That was what I was told, so I thought, "Oh, this is just gonna be like a whatever moment," you know?
yeah,
Yeah, but it
that
was not a
boils my
whatever
blood.
moment.
No, it
No.
boils my blood for so many reasons. One, because, yeah, like, physically, it can be incredibly painful, but also there's an emotional process that's going along with
There
it.
was.
I
Yes,
really
there
do
was.
feel like these medications and these procedures, even with a DNC, you need to sit down and talk about, this is exactly what's gonna happen. This is what
Exactly.
can happen. And
Exactly.
also, these are the emotions that can happen. And
Yes.
that postpartum depression
Oh my god, it's
is
so
a
real.
thing. It is so real, even if you have experienced a miscarriage, even if you don't have a baby in your arms, but your body was pregnant, you can
Exactly.
experience a postpartum mental health disorder or a perinatal
Your
mental health
body
disorder.
goes through a completely different process than your brain does. And they're
Yes.
2 different systems,
Mhm.
believe it or not. But
Well,
that's yeah.
yeah, and because you are the type of person who needs to know, needs to understand, you looked for these things, like, you even, like you said, you found out you were pregnant and you did all the pregnancy research, and
Yes, I did.
it's reminding me of a show I just watched where, like, you don't even need the midwives, like, you could deliver
Yeah.
your own baby at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you did the research, but you still were left in this space afterwards of, like, "What the fuck is happening to me?" And that is so not necessary. Like,
No.
it's not.
If all the stories were out there for
Mhm.
us to read, to hear,
Just to
this wouldn't
share with
happen.
each other, right?
But that's
The
one of the
I
reasons why I wrote the book, because I was like,
Mhm.
"There's gotta be more people who talks about this."
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful that you are one of the people talking about it, and that you talk about it so openly. My biggest thing here is, like, building the village, and a lot of people think that that means, like, when you have a baby or when you have kids, and yes, it means that too, but, like, we as
We need a community.
humans, we
Yes,
just need community, we need village,
exactly. I agree
and
with that.
Yeah, and it means exactly what you said it means. It means us leaning on each other and trusting each other and sharing with each other so that we can go through this life experience and not
Exactly.
wonder what the hell is wrong with me and why am
Exactly.
I the one that's screwed up. So, cuz you're not.
Exactly.
Cuz you're not.
Yeah. You're
You're
not
not.
crazy, you're not screwed up.
No.
Yep.
You're not
You're
alone.
human. You're
Mhm.
just human. Yep. That's what
Yes.
happens with humans.
Oh my gosh. So I mean, if I could, I would literally chat with you for hours. Cuz I
There's a
have
lot. I know.
there's
There's a
so
lot.
much. And I always tell my guests, open invitation, you're always welcome back, but I want to first like take this opportunity again to thank you for walking us through what was such a heavy and chaotic and confusing and life altering experience in your life. I'm so appreciative that you trusted me and trusted this space to share because it's going to connect with someone else.
Absolutely.
And in that vein, I always like to ask my guests if there is someone out there that hears your story and would like to connect and would like to sort of follow your journey, where's the best place that they can find you? And I will list these at the show notes as well.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
if there's like a go-to for you, like, oh yeah, I'm always on blah blah blah. Like,
Right.
yeah.
I am on all social medias. Or I say all, there's so many out there. The main ones, the Facebook, Instagram, and um, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. What is the other one? I think there was one more.
Is it
Um, I'm
Threads?
I'm trying to get into Threads. Oh, Substack. I'm also on
Substack.
Substack.
Okay. Love
Yes.
Substack. Yep.
Um, but I just send everybody to my website because you can find all of my links there. And my website is the letter B. Uh, what's that line at the top? Um,
Like
oh my
an
gosh,
M. I don't know. A dash? No.
a dash. Yeah,
Yep.
a dash would be the word. B dash unhinged.com.
Yes, yes. I was literally just looking at your Facebook and I was like, "Be unhinged." Oh my god, I love it.
Yes, it's
Um,
actually beautifully unhinged.
yes.
Yeah, 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 just
Um,
abbreviating it.
it will all be in the show notes.
Yes.
So but not everybody checks the show notes. But if you wanna find
Absolutely.
Cat, B dash unhinged, .com. Yes, okay, cool. And I'm doing this thing, which I kinda get the feeling that you might actually enjoy this a little bit. I feel like you share a little bit of my woo woo. I'm a little woo woo if you haven't figured it out. Um, so I'm ending my episodes.
Yes.
I'm taking us back, and I know we are elder millennials here. Um, Back to the days before cell phones, back to the days before you could be immediately reached. Like if you needed someone and they weren't there, you had to leave a message.
Yes.
And yeah, like on an answering machine.
Yeah, the good
So
old days, yep.
oh my god. Or pray that their
Yeah,
sister or their brother or their parents did not answer the phone.
yeah.
So, you don't know who my next guest is gonna be. You don't know if they're a mom, a dad, caregiver, what they are. You don't know what their experience is. So, you're a little bit of at a disadvantage there, but you called into Quiet Connection today and they weren't here to answer. You're gonna leave them a message. And you can interpret that in any way that you want. It can be any kind of message. And what the woo woo part of this is that you will have to listen to the episode before yours to get your message. And then I'm going to like check back in with you and be like, hey, did that message hit home or was it totally off the You know what I mean? Like, is the universe actually working with my
Right.
guests here? Or like,
Okay.
it's an experiment that I'm doing.
Yeah.
We're going to
No, that
see.
sounds fun, I like that. And
'Cause
so and it can be anything.
it could be anything.
Okay.
It's just
It
you're
does it
telling
have to
it
be
to
anything
no,
about
my
what I'm
next
talking about?
no, it's my next like
Okay.
because I said they could be someone who has no children. They can be someone who is a medical expert. It could be anybody. It's just whatever you want to tell them.
Okay. 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 So, um, this is probably what I would tell that someone is that you know, I did go through this miscarriage, right? And it shattered my entire life. I was devastated, grieving, all this stuff. But it also brought me a lot of good. And that wasn't something I saw until way after. But if we're patient enough, we can find that good after. And that would be the why you went through that grief.
So be patient.
Yes. In your grief, just to find that peace.
Yeah. Beautiful. I've never gotten the same answer twice. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this is going to be really
That's
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
I know. I
Yeah.
can't. I really want people to be like honest with me though, and be like, the
Yeah.
message that was for me, yeah, that wasn't for me. That was for someone else. I don't know who that was for, but
I'm sure the right person will come, whoever needed to hear
right?
that, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm like a big believer in like,
Yeah.
I don't know, the
No, that's
universe
fun. I
connecting
like
us in
that.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's a way of manifesting too.
it's a way
You
of
know?
manifesting. It's a way of connecting a little
Yes,
deeper.
exactly.
And yeah, so we'll see how it goes with this new season.
Right.
But
Well, just to give you an idea, the miscarriage is what's everything that's happening in my life right now is because of the miscarriage. We decided to move abroad, not because of the political aspects. It's just because that's what we want to do. We
yeah,
decided to go to Okinawa.
I
So we
read
are,
that. Yeah.
yeah, we are literally like selling our house right now. That's why everything's so empty. And like we're literally embarking on this adventure. We have no idea what's going to come out of it, but we are excited for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm excited. I'm going to be following along. I'm going to be keeping in touch.
absolutely.
I want to
Yes,
know. I want to know. And like you are an all-in person. So
I
this
am.
is whew, I'm excited to see this adventure for you. But yeah, thank you so much. I
Well, thank
so
you.
enjoyed this. This was amazing.
This is my first guest podcast, so I'm like I'm super stoked about this.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm honored that we were your first podcast experience. You need to be on
Yes,
more because
I know.
you're good at this, girl. You're good at this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey so honestly and vulnerably with me, Kat. Your strength in turning such an excruciating experience into a lifeboat for others is exactly why we hold this space. Make sure you follow and connect with Kat at her website, b-unhinged.com, where you can find links to her books and social media. Make sure you check the show notes. I've listed the links to all of Kat's Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok accounts so you can follow her upcoming move to Okinawa. If Kat's story about the silent parts of loss resonated with you, please share this episode with a friend who might be feeling soulless or alone in their own grief. And if you want to share your story, know that your voice is the antidote to stigma. If you're ready to share, reach out via our website, quietconnectionpodcast.com, or by email, chelsea@quietconnectionpodcast.com. I'd love to hold space for you. Join us next time when another story is told and you realize you are not alone. I see you. Hey, it's Chelsea. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for tuning in and being a part of the Quiet Connection community. Did you know that you can support me and gain exclusive perks by subscribing to my Patreon account? By becoming a subscriber, you'll get access to bonus episodes, ad-free listening, exclusive chats, and even monthly goodies in the mail handmade by me. Your support helps me continue creating high-quality content and ensures that we keep spreading awareness and ending the stigma surrounding perinatal mood and anxiety disorders and so much more. Head on over to Patreon, search Quiet Connection Podcast, and join the community of listeners who are helping me make this podcast the best it can be.